So time is love, and if you've ever been in love before, then I guess you already know that. But I'm not just talking about that kind of love. I'm talking about love of the divine. And so actually making time to meditate, to spend with the divine. You're doing this right now by tuning into this podcast, giving your time, your thoughts, your attention. So, we used to give our time back in the day. If you were a church goer, we used to give our time every Sunday, right? Every Sunday morning. Most of the world, I believe, at that point, when we were all going to church back in the day, most people were doing this. Many people. I'm not judging anyone that was not. Not at all. Perhaps you were ahead of your time. But we gave our time to this, right? We're like, oh, we could have been doing this or that Sunday morning, but no, we devoted our time to go and sit in a church and go listen to the sermon and go connect with people who also are spiritually minded. Now, in doing this, what was really occurring was, we've talked about the collective mind before, but what was really occurring here is that the world had a chance as a collective to bring more light, depending on your church, into the world. And we got to spend our time devoted to specifically just to go worship God. Now, I got all my kind of opinions about that, but the whole point is that time was given. Now, if you look at other faiths, Muslim faith, what do? They put their mats down 3 times a day. The speaker, if you live in a place where the majority of people are Muslim, then there's going to be a prayer that's going to come on the speaker, and the whole city, town, wherever they are going to come together, and they are going to give their time. Why is this such a wonderful thing? Well, because we've talked about this a million times, frequency, right? So if you are giving your devoted time, let's say, okay, it's whatever time in the afternoon, now it's time to stop and take a break and think about the divine. Well, if you were currently having a problem, if you were having an issue, there was something going on in your workday or whatever it was, this is going to give you time to reset. And now I know I'm talking about Muslims, and lots of people have some very misrepresentation ideas about them, because you're looking at a group of extremists, which they could do exactly the same, and look at a group of extremists and judge religion on that. But the Muslim faith, in the Quran, it says over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, show mercy, show mercy, show mercy. They're very peaceful people. But you can't take one group of extreme people and then label them all in this way, right? Because that people could do that to you too, and that's not beneficial or helpful to anybody, and it's not the truth. But people devoting their time helps you to reset, helps you to remember why. If people were married and they had to take 3 times a day to devote some good loving thoughts to their spouse, there would be a whole lot more wonderful relationships in the world, wouldn't there be? So this is kind of the point, is that if you want to have a really good relationship with the divine, then you need to devote time to it, just like anything else. You gotta give it your time. You can tell, your best friend that, oh yeah, you're my best friend, oh, I love you so much, and then give them none of your time when you have it available, and pretty soon they're not going to start to feel very valued anymore. Now, I'm not saying that God feels this way or the divine, when you ignore it absolutely 100% not, that's not real. But it does help you to lose your devotion to something when you don't give it the time that's necessary, right? I lots of people, oh, do you meditate? Oh, no, I need to start, but I don't. Oh, do you do this? No, I don't, but I need to start. Okay, well, let's say that you had a relationship that depended on it. your relationship with the divine. And you're like, oh, I should, but I don't. And then, a year goes by, and oh, I should, but I don't. Then another year goes by, and pretty soon you don't even know the divine anymore because you haven't given it any of your time. And then there's distance that grows, and pretty soon you're just like, I don't got the time for this, and you just keep going about your life. So, talking about time is love here today, if you can devote your time like you are right now to the divine, what you are doing is you're developing that bond, and you're understanding things in a new way. I know every time that I study the Christ letters or I meditate, it's always new information that is coming to me. I'm not going in there and hearing the same thing. I'm not praying a prayer, and repeating these things and saying these words, this lip service to, placate some God who's going to punish me if I don't. What I'm doing is I'm going in there and I'm letting the divine talk to me. I'm not talking to the divine. I'm not praying. I'm not saying, oh, I need this to happen or whatever it is. No, I might do that once in a while. But I would say 98% of the time, it is me just listening. And so you can do this too. And so if you don't do this, I would highly recommend it, because here's the deal. For years and years and years, I was quite alone, especially when I left the church so much. I had always had this connection with the divine. Always, 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 always. But I would listen to what other people told me, like the church pastors or this or that. And I realize now, it was opinion, it was interpretation of, what the Bible was saying or this or that. And so being away from that and alone in it and spending time just talking to the divine, because every single one of us can do this, then you're going to get information from the divine that is going to help you. And every single person can do this. But some people are like, oh, some people can do it, some people can't. Well, you know what? If you're interested in it and if you want that, then it's for you and you can do it. But it takes practice, right? That's just like anything else. You're like, well, I can't run a marathon. Well, heck, neither can I. But you know what? If I went out there and I practiced for several months or however long you got to do that for, I'd be able to do it, and so could you. But if I don't practice, I'm certainly not going to be able to do that. Same thing. So if you can devote a certain amount of time to the divine, then you're going to get some information. So if you were to sit there in a meditative state, this is how I do it. I have the same visualization that comes to me every time. Now this is funny, because when I very first started getting information for people, words for people, like how if someone's coming to me, I already know, what it is that they're coming to me for. I know what it is that we should be working on that time, if I tune in and ask. But I see things visually, but many people don't, right? I am clairvoyant, so I see. Now I would say, most of the things, but some people are clairaudient. That means you can hear. You might just hear some whisper like, hey, go buy that thing. Hey, go talk to this person. That's your divine connection. It's guiding you. It's telling you. Some people are kinesthetic, so they'll get this gut feeling. They don't need to see or hear. They go off of what it is. And some people have the knowing. I had the knowing when I was little, and that you just knew things with no doubt. You just have certainty. You just know about certain things. All of these are wonderful gifts. And there are divine heavenly gifts. Why? Because they help us. They help other people. It has been that the hearing. Go talk to this guy over here. Hey, go give this to that person. Hey, go do this. That has truly helped. Has turned me, when needed, into an earth angel, and I'm sure that it's the same as you. Doing things because you're guided by that system. So, got off topic there. Anyway, so when I'm meditating, I was just doing it here. but I will do it to solve problems. So this morning, it's like, oh, why am I experiencing this, whatever we talked about the other day. Oh, it won't sound like the other day because all my recordings are all messed up. Probably about 8 days ago now. We were talking about that heartbreak. Can't remember the name of it now. But I was like, why? Why am I experiencing this? What is going on? What is happening here? And so I meditated. So I put myself into state. We've talked about this before. Count from 10 to 1. And then, count 10 breaths and just take yourself into a nice, really relaxed state. So, I do this, but I usually just, count from 4 to 1 and then envision myself shooting upwards. Why? I don't know. It's from the old days where I imagine myself shooting up and then going into this place that must be heaven, but it kind of looks like a courtroom. And, guess it's time for me to get up. And so I visualize this, room that just kind of pops into my mind, and the divine is there, but I can never actually see the divine. The divine is standing behind what I would call a preacher's, whatever the thing is that they stand behind, pulpit, I guess. And the divine is there and is always really happy to see me, but I don't actually see the divine. I just know the divine is there. And so I'll ask, why am I experiencing this? Like, what was the purpose of that? Why am I having this? And so then the divine will give me answers. And it's like, well, to let you know exactly what you don't want. It's like, but I already know that. No, well, you didn't, though. Because you said you wanted this and you were receiving this. You weren't receiving what you wanted. And so it was all about lessons and learning. And if you were saying, I want this, but you're receiving this and you're deeming that that's acceptable, I'm going to allow this to be in my life, well, then that's what you're going to get. And you're not going to get what it is that you do want because you don't have space for it. You haven't allowed it. You've said, okay, well, I know I said I wanted this, but I'm settling for this. So that's what you get. Well, no, that's not what I want. So this was a lesson. Maybe this doesn't make any sense. It makes sense to me, but I don't want to tell you guys every single thing about myself. Yet, I might. I don't really care, but I'm just not going to talk about this. But anyways, so I take myself into the meditative state and I go up and I, ask the divine whatever it is. And often it's nothing and I'm just saying, hey, I'm here. What do you want to tell me? And then the divine will tell me something. And so when this happens for you, because I would really recommend doing this, it's just whatever pops in your head. Now, I know I used to feel like, oh, I'm just making this up. You know what? But I can't make up all that kind of crazy stuff that would come to me, or the odd things, or the very specific messages, or whatever it is. So just trust yourself that when you put yourself in that state, that whatever it is that comes up, it's accurate for you. And then practice this. Now, you might not get nothing. You might not get nothing for a while, and that's good. It's good to just sit there in that state of nothingness. For a while. I'll give you guys a hot tip. If you're putting yourself into that state but you can't stop thinking, ask yourself over and over and over again, I wonder what thought I'll think of next. Then when it comes up, go, oh, that's what I thought of, and then let it float away. And then ask yourself, I wonder what thought I'll think of next. And you're like, that's what it is. And you're just observing the thoughts that come in, and then let them go, and then ask, I wonder what thought I'll think of again, or I wonder what thought I'll think of next, and then keep doing this, and pretty soon your mind's going to be like, I'm so sick of this, and you're just going to have nothing. That's ideal. That's exactly what you want. And then when you get the nothing, you could sit in it. You could envision Jesus coming towards you, giving you a message. You could, whatever it is that you want. But even just sitting in the nothingness is an excellent thing to do. because you will just all of a sudden have some kind of thought, have some kind of solution, some kind of inspiration, some kind of something that you did not have before that will come to you. Now, I believe that this happens for a few reasons. It happens because you have devoted your time and you've practiced, and so you're going to, get better and better at this. But just your devotion of your time and your intent going into it, the divine loves that and will reward that. So if you are going to give your time to the divine, I will open up the Christ letters and I'll sit there and I'll be like, okay, I'll read a couple, whatever's sticking out to me. Then I'll meditate for a bit. And my intent every single time is to connect with the divine, get some type of inspiration, get some type of solution to an issue, something I'm going through, whatever it happens to be. And I receive it every time because I go in believing that I will get it. Now, do not get frustrated if you are just starting out and you haven't been meditating at all before, meaning listening to the divine. So I consider prayer talking at the divine, and this is cool, that's fine, you can do that. But I prefer to listen to what the divine has to say, because this is kind of like, you hang out with your friend and you do all the talking, and your friend is the wise one, but you did all the talking. Not very beneficial. Whereas if you just sit and you listen to your wise one friend, you're going to gain a lot of things from it. So this is how I view prayer versus meditation. Listening versus talking. And now it's cool to pray and ask for things. But here's something you're going to want to avoid. When you pray and you ask for something, you pray one time with faith, and then you don't bring it up again. Because if I pray and I say, oh, divine, please help me with this problem because of this, and then I go away and then I come again tomorrow and I'm like, oh, divine, please help me with this problem because of this, and I do the same thing over and over. Well, what am I doing? Well, there's several things that I'm doing there. First of all, I'm not having faith. I'm like thinking that, oh, well, I guess the divine was sleeping the first time I asked, because now I'm having to go back and ask again. No. The divine heard the first time and is working on a solution for you. But as soon as you bring up the problem again, you are putting your faith in that problem and not in the divine. And therefore you are feeding that problem, you're making it bigger, and you're not putting your faith in the divine. If I go and all of a sudden I pray to the divine and I say, oh, I'm sick, and I say, oh, please heal me, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. And then I believe, oh, the divine is going to heal me. But then somebody else comes in or somebody calls me and I'm like, oh, I'm sick. Oh, this is the problem. And I'm talking about it. I might as well not have even asked for the help, because I am now feeding the sickness and I am putting my faith in that sickness rather than the divine. Do you understand that it is all belief? It is all belief, and it's because you believe in good and evil that you experience good and evil. And if you only believed in the love of the divine, you would only experience the love of the divine. But it is putting your faith in, oh, there's bad people here in this world. Oh, you got to be careful because these bad people are going to do these bad things. It is putting your faith in that starts the creationary process, making it then at some point visible in your life, bringing that visible matter into your life at some point because you believe in it. So, when you can spend your time meditating, and then when you receive words from the divine, whatever it happens to be, it is whatever pops into your head. And if you're like, oh, I'm just making this up, who cares, man? I thought that about the very first hypnosis session that I had. And I do this session, and at the end of it was like, I know I made all that up. And I didn't. I started doing research after the fact, because I was like, is this real? Could this really have happened? Is this whatever? And everything that had come to me, I could look up and research, and it was true. But I had been doubting myself because I had never experienced something like this before. So I'm like, I just made it all up. However, after the fact, many things in my life changed, which was more proof that whatever we did was really real. So it doesn't matter if the answers that you get from the divine you think you've made up, if they are a good answer, it's from the divine, believe in it, and it will be so. It is all your belief. Do not doubt in the love of the divine. If you have not been experiencing the love of the divine, how much time have you been devoting to the divine and to that love? How much of your focus and your energy and your attention have you been giving to the divine? And how much of it have you been given to the chaos around you? How much of it have you been feeding? How much of your time, your attention, and your thoughts have you been using to feed the chaos? And how much of your time and your attention have you been using to devote love and thoughts, not just towards the divine? I'm not talking about worshiping the divine. I'm not. You do not need to do this. You need to live according to the laws of the universe, which says that you reap as you sow. So put out the good, put out the heavenly high vibe frequency thoughts, put out the heavenly high vibe words, and put out the heavenly high vibe actions, and you will receive these things back at some point. Now you must remember that you have sown seeds your whole life. What kind of seeds were you sowing that you are now reaping? Maybe you're in a wonderful, blessed period. Maybe you're in a period of chaos. What was it that led to this? What did you think about other people? And what have they then done to you? Sorry, just getting a phone call here. I get a little bit off track when I hear my phone going off. So think about the amount of time that you devote to the things that you actually want. How much of your time in your day do you spend focused on what it is that you have, that you love, that you want? How much time do you spend spreading the love out there through your thoughts and your words and your actions, versus how much time do you not do that, and how much of your time do you spend focusing on the chaos? Now, I know it can be very difficult to rein in your mind when you are going through something. Trust me, 100%, I know it. Like we were just talking about this, like chest pains here. These things can pop into your head. Now, you can have things that pop into your head that distract you, and it's like, even if you were to have a conversation with a real good friend of yours, you're not even present in that conversation because you're thinking about this thing over there that's bothering you. Now, what you can do here, and I'm not saying it's going to make it easier, but at least if you have an answer as to the why of things, it can be very, very helpful. Which is why I wanted to get a why. Why did I go through this situation? What was the purpose of this? And I was a little bit pissed, even though I know that everything I've done to myself, but I was a little bit pissed of why did I have to go through this particular situation that was so hurtful to me? What was the purpose in that? So maybe you have a situation like that. Maybe you're pissed about some kind of something that's going on in your life, and you're like, why is this happening? Well, you can meditate, and you can listen, and you can ask, what was the purpose in this? And it's always about, what was I supposed to learn? Every time. What was I supposed to learn from the situation? In what area was I supposed to grow? And when you realize that, when the divine tells you and gives you that answer and says, this is the lesson, this is what you're meant to learn, if you don't take that lesson and you don't learn it, you will repeat it again in the future. So being aware of the why is very necessary. When we're little kids and we're always asking, why? That's me, man. You ask me to do something, you tell me to do something, I'll do it, but I want to know the why. I'm doing it behind it, right? We all have this curiosity within us. And if you have some kind of problem that you got, oh, you drink too much, you smoke too much, you do whatever it happens to be. If you got down to the why, and you actually knew the real why, it would be so much easier for you to understand and then change whatever, if you got a bad habit or you got something that you feel a certain way, you don't want to feel a certain way anymore. If you knew this is exactly where it's coming from and this is why I feel this way, very helpful. This is why, I would say part of the reason why some of the sessions, people come to me for are so beneficial, because they actually do get the why. If somebody, this has happened several times, so I'll mention it. And it was all the base of the reason was always the same, of somebody coming to me feeling unlovable. I just feel unlovable. Oh, feel unlovable. Okay. And I wasn't expecting this, because that's not always going to be the answer, what I'm about to tell you. But I regress these people back, and they go back to either infancy or the womb, all back to situations that they did not recall consciously, and feeling unwanted while they're in the womb, or feeling unattended when they were little, whatever it happened to be. But now that then they have the why, okay, well, let's heal this. You didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't that your mom didn't want you specifically. She just maybe couldn't handle a baby at the time. It wasn't anything personal against you as a person, or as your soul, or your character, or whatever happened to be. Whatever it is, we deal with it on a subconscious level, so that when you go forward, that issue is no longer there. You don't feel that same way anymore, because you have an answer to why this has happened. Now, what can you learn from this? Okay, well, if that example of you very early on feeling unlovable, well, what's going to happen in your life is you are going to have people come into your life, and they're not going to love you properly, because you believe you're unlovable. And they're going to prove to you your beliefs. And you're going to say, oh, I knew I was unlovable, and here's the proof of it. Rather than, oh, I believed this thing, and because I believed this thing, it came true. I better stop believing that thing. Right? That's the truth. That's the truth. But we use whatever has happened as reinforcement for making ourselves feel like crap. Whereas if you recognize whatever it is that you are going through or have gone through is about a lesson, and it's about learning, it's going to help you in some way. Now, each person, let's say that you're involved in a situation with another person, each person involved in this is perhaps going to learn a completely different lesson, right? So I, go through an abusive relationship when I'm a teenager. Okay, well, what did I learn from that? Well, I don't even know. I can't even go there. I learned a million billion things from that. But what did he learn? I have no idea, but it was not the opposite, because I wasn't abusing him. So him as the abuser, what did he learn? Well, I know he learned something, because about 18 years later, he messages me apologizing. So he did learn something. But we're each learning something different. And we're going around harming people while we're learning these lessons if we're coming from an unhealed place within us. If we have hurt and pain from the past, we expect it to come back and to burden and wound us again in the future. We expect it to happen. And because it's our expectation, it happens. We will attract the same type of people, the same type of situations, the same type of circumstances into our life over and over and over and over again, until we learn the lesson. And then when we've learned the lesson, it's over. The cycle is over. All right, I'm never going to have to deal with an abuser ever again. Why? Because I would never stand for it. I would never put myself in that position again. And if I found myself somehow tricked into being in a position like that, I would get the heck out of there. And good thing I know jiu-jitsu, I'd probably choke them out on my way out. I mean, at least this is my daydream. That's what I would do. That sounds fun. All right, somebody come and abuse me so I can choke you out. I'm just kidding. So we learn these things, and if we learn them now, then we don't have to repeat them again in the future. So what did you learn from the most recent grievous thing that has happened to you? What have you learned? Go and write it down. Write it down. Well, I learned this, and I learned this, and come up with as many answers as possible. And if you don't have any answers, then you need to devote more time and more meditation so that you can come up with those answers, because otherwise exactly what happened is going to happen again, because as long as you were unaware of why it happened, it will repeat again. Because once you get rid of the why, okay, well, I guess the why was showing me, well, you said you wanted this and you were going to settle for this. What are you learning here? Don't settle. Why would you settle? I'm never settling for anything. Not in a million years. If this is what I want this, and I want this in the color purple. I'm not going to settle for it in the color orange. I'm just not. No, because that is what I want. And as long as I'm saying, no, I want it in purple, and I'm settling for orange, well, I'm just going to have the orange, and I'm not going to have the purple. So if I'm saying this is what I want, then I cannot hold on to something that it is not and expect to get what it is that I want out of it. It's not going to happen. That's not how it works. But everything that we're going through is lessons, and it is learning, and it is all beneficial. It's all for our benefit. Especially the really hard and terrible things. They teach you what it is that you need to know. Now, I'm not saying that these lessons are pleasant. You know, this sounds like, oh, you know, just go through it, and it's just so great because it's all just so great. I understand that we have created things in our life, in the past, that has to come to fruition at some point. And so if you are experiencing something right now, let's say that you're going through some type of situation and you're just dealing with all kinds of things, like I got this and I'm stressed about that and I got to deal with this and I don't know about whatever. How did you get yourself in that position? Because you did. I didn't put you in it. They didn't put you in it. You put yourself in it. How did you get yourself into that situation? What type of beliefs, what kind of thinking, what did you allow? Did you allow people to perhaps take advantage of you and now you're reaping from that? Did you not maybe put up some kind of boundary and say, hey, this is acceptable and this is not, and if you're not going to follow by what I deem as acceptable, then I can't deal with this anymore. It's out. Or did you allow people to walk on you and to use you and to abuse you? If you did, that's going to continue to happen. What have you not learned that has allowed you to allow other people to abuse you or to use you or whatever it happens to be? What have you not healed within yourself that is allowing that to happen? You feel, oh, I feel bad. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to whatever. Okay, well, aren't people hurting you though? So, you know, maybe you need to do something about this. But as long as we don't believe that we're valuable or worthy or deserving of every good and wonderful thing that the divine has for us here, we will experience that. Whatever it is, whatever that is for you that you subconsciously expect and believe you deserve, that is what you'll get. Every single time. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how valuable do you believe that you are? What's your number? Okay, how worthy and deserving of awesome, of a perfect, wonderful life do you believe that you are? Scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? Okay, how lovable do you believe that you are? Got your numbers? Okay, so if it was not at a 10, well, for every single one of those, then there was, let's say it was at an 8, let's say it was at a 6, let's say it was at a 4. So if it was at a 10, that would be 100% heavenly, truthful, divine alignment thinking. If you were at 80, if you were at an 8, that means that you have 20% hell. attached to that. So, oh, I believe I'm lovable, but 20% of me is living in hell and doesn't truly believe that. Or you'd be at a 10, I know. Harsh truth. But here's the deal. Whatever it was, whatever number that was, that's what you're experiencing in your life right now, isn't it? You're experiencing whatever that hell, whatever percent that hell was, you're experiencing that at that percent, aren't you? And you've done this to yourself. You didn't even know. You didn't even know that you did it. You weren't even aware, but you did it to yourself. All because your beliefs were not in alignment with divine love, with the truth. And I know it's so hard to get there when you haven't experienced it prior, but it's because you've put your faith and your belief in things that harm and hurt you. Like every time perhaps this was me too. Every time that I get into a relationship, that man will hurt me. This is what I have experienced up to date. Every single time. Why? Because there's some kind of belief that I had going on, underlying. I've cleaned house. This is never going to happen to me ever again. I will not allow it. But up until this point, this has been the case. Here, let me just give you some hell. Let me just give you some more hell. Here, you can have some hell. Why? Because I subconsciously must have felt like I deserved it. I don't deserve it anymore. I 1,000,000% know that. I know how much the divine loves me. The divine loves me just as much as the divine loves you, which is, you can't even comprehend. But it is my love towards the divine and towards my belief in the divine. That is the thing that can limit me. If I put my faith in these fearful or negative things that are going on, and I put my belief in them, then I will experience them, those fearful and negative beliefs. But if I have my faith in the divine, so I always believed that if I asked the divine for something, the divine would do it, and basically immediately. Now this, to me, at the time, was proof that the divine loves me so much, which is also true. But what it really was proof of my belief that the divine would answer and would do something for me immediately. That faith, that is what was being shown to me. I didn't realize it at the time. I just thought, oh, I'm special, which I was. You are too. But it was through my understanding. This is why. Oh, I see. This is why this is happening, because I believe it. Okay, so then how detrimental is it for you to believe that tomorrow is going to be the same as today, and harmful and hurtful and not good? You get what you expect. And because you expect the same things of your yesterdays as you expect tomorrow, you get it over and over and over again. And because you believe that what happened in the past is going to come back to burden and wound you again, it does. And it will continue in this way until you change your belief about it, until you change the way that you think about it. So time is love. So when you give your time and you devote your time, I'm talking 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You're listening to me for about 40 minutes, depending on the day. Wonderful. What a wonderful amount of time that you're giving to the divine. But if you're home and you want to meditate, 2 minutes is enough. It is enough, and it'll get longer and longer and longer the more that you practice it. But what you do not want to do is get frustrated through a practice, because that defeats the whole entire purpose. So sit there, take 10 nice deep breaths, eyes closed, so that you're taking away what is around the room. You could keep your eyes open, and if you were going to keep your eyes open, if you don't like closing your eyes for whatever reason, then pick a spot on the wall and then do not deviate your eyes from that spot. Because as long as your eyes are not moving, you can test this out, this is kind of cool. As long as your eyes are not moving, you can't create a new thought. So you can Just sit there with your eyes planted or with your eyes closed, whatever you prefer to do. And count 10 breaths. Nice deep breaths, full breaths, and then focus on a slow exhale. Because that slow exhale will signal to your body to calm down very quickly. So do that 10 breaths. Then imagine the number 10. Let it disappear. Imagine the number 9. Let it disappear, and go through this. Now, if you find that you are still really amped up and like, electrified and antsy, you got way too much, then do this process twice. Do it 2 times. Then count another 10 breaths. Then count from 10 down to 1 again. Maybe you'll want to start. Maybe you'll want to count down from 20 or from 30 or whatever it is. We're all different. You know, if someone comes into my office, I explain the process to them and I say, it's going to take me 2 minutes to 20 minutes to get you where I need to be. And it's true. Some people, it is literally 2 minutes. And some people, it is 20 minutes. It depends on the person. So don't get frustrated if for you, this whole 2-minute thing isn't working for you. Maybe listen to some guided meditations on YouTube, or just take a whole lot more time and practice a whole lot more. Getting your brain in theta is a natural thing. Once you get really used to it, you'll be able to do it much, much quicker. When you do this, you might notice that your eyelids start fluttering. You might notice that you just kind of feel different, or that your hands get all tingly, that you feel pins and needles or things like this in your body. This is totally normal. This is what you want. And if you're experiencing any of those when you're in that meditative state, you're there, man. You can start. So once you get to that place, then just sit there and then just invite the divine in. Just say, divine, I'm here. This is my question. Or what is it that you would like to tell me today? That's a really good one. What is it that you would like to tell me today? And then just sit there and then just wait. What pops into your head? Does anything pop into your head? No? Fine. Do you feel good while you're sitting there in that blank, empty space? Excellent. Just practice. Practice, practice, practice. And devote your 2 minutes. Devote your 5 minutes. Devote your 10 minutes, your 15 minutes. It'll get longer and longer. Depending on the need as well for it. If I'm up in my cabin and I got nothing else to do, I'm doing this for hours a day because I truly enjoy it, because I like it, because I get so much insight. And then as soon as I open my eyes, all of it's gone. Dang it. I wish I could just record my brain. That would be fascinating. Anyways, so just practice, Give your time, because it is your intention. So when you wake up in the morning, devote some of your intentional time to, I am going to get in alignment. So maybe once you put yourself in that state, and you get, some kind of message from the divine or whatever, you could also just start to think about the things that you like. You could use that time to lift your vibe up. Or one of the other things I've said, imagine, this beautiful heavenly love raining down on the people that you love, or even on the people that you don't love. There's just so many things that you can do when you're in this state. But all of them, when you are giving your time and you're devoting it to it, you will get closer. This is why we give our time to people, is we devote it. And so you will get closer to the divine. And by getting closer and feeling that connection, then you will think more often of the divine. And you will be reminded more often of the divine alignment, of those loving thoughts. And you will develop a really good habit by doing this, by giving your time to the wonderful, beautiful divine. Thank you guys for giving your time to me today. I love you all, and I'm so appreciative that you guys tune in here today. And every day, please turn on your notifications so you know when I drop a new one. Please like and comment, as it helps the algorithm. It helps more people to see these videos and get these messages. But I love you guys, and I'm so thankful that you are here. And I hope that you have the most wonderful, blessed day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.